Now, y'all, what's happening with it? World Shamans and them file shot reporting on the Bamboozled Again News Network with an impromptu live. Ain't nothing shaking and baking out on the job. You know what I mean? It is what it is. But this will highlight. I had an epiphany, right? So I was checking out the news from Fox 45 Baltimore, articulating the opioid epidemic, crisis, overdoses, so on and so forth. But that ain't really what I'm covering. Um, it just highlighted something to me, and that's just one particular aspect or component of society that's just too far gone. Society as a whole is too far gone for it to have any redeemable value, and it's so far gone. There's no way any catalyst could come in to right the ship or to start on a path of improvement in anything concerning society. Let's talk about mental health. It's going to continue to erode. It's too far gone. Let's say drug addiction. Same thing. Too many people steal money. So they just can't stop stealing money and do sound business practices. Um, Relationally speaking, how we deal with one another, our peer counterparts or the opposite sex, is too far gone for us to right the ship, even though we may have the information and the knowledge to do so in application. We can't apply it due to the fact that we've been indoctrinated and embedded with a certain thing overall that seeped into our soul. What's up, brother Anthony? Peace and blessings to you, fam. And I don't want to be the doom or gloom prophet. However, I am the prophet of the reality of the situation. That's the only way in dealing with the reality of the situation. That's the only way I could make any strides in my personal life, starting first with the spiritual foundation. You know what I mean? So I'm able to articulate these things with some semblance of accuracy. Because as I see myself clear, I can see the writing on the wall. And this ain't, again, bad luck Chuck type story, nothing like that. It's just to mentally prepare you as the word speaks. Incrementally, we're going down a rabbit hole that we can't dig out of. That's why personally I see, the necessity to come out of Babylon spiritually. So I don't give it my energy. I'm just, reporting the news as I see it with my own particular spin on it so that maybe in your personal life you can see certain things, recognize it, and make the proper adjustment. Again, I got this from a counselor of mine. Your success is predicated on you, especially now with uncertainty and so on and so forth. Um, your success is predicated on being able to recognize the change and how quickly you can adapt and make the proper adjustments. You know what I mean? So let's say, hypothetically, easier said than done. Been there, done that, right? So let's say you're in a 10-year relationship and it goes south. Now, of course, there's a mourning period with any kind of detachment for something you've been attached to for a long period of time. But if you stay in that space of mourning that which is no longer yours, which technically in this world you don't own nothing, depending on what it is or how the Most High set up, you get to be a steward of things for a period of time. But if you can't mentally, go through the process of healing and detach, you'll do like I did when my shawty passed away, and it'll be 3, 4 years later, and you're still in the same emotional space, even though time is proceeding on. We don't have the luxury of being stagnant. And I ain't talking about anything, and it's a component of it, like uh, financially and all that type of stuff. I'm talking about strip everything away. I'm talking about just you, the human, you, the male, you, the female. You're going to have to quickly move on because now what I'm saying, this society is attempting, how the word said, where if you put on the whole armor, right, you'll be able to quench the fiery darts of the adversary. He's throwing darts from every direction. That's why you need the armor. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't know or you can't predict where the arrows may hit. But if you got your whole armor, it don't matter where they hit. I'm protected. You see what I'm saying? So you might get hit financially. Job might, whatever. You might get hit socially. All of a sudden, let's say you're, going through certain awakening, and now the friends you've had all your life, they acting funny. You know what I mean? Well, what's up, brother Bryce? What's happening with you? You need a podcast. I'm among other things, I'm working on it. It's just with time constraints, responsibility, not just for me, but those who I believe are also knowledgeable that I've gotten things from that I know personally, and their various work schedules, family. It's just hard to get everybody together. Just like the chosen. Let's say we're few and far between. We're spread out, and that's why I think the Most High has to bring us together, because it seems in let's say in smaller clusters we might be able to do it, but like a national convention of chosen probably ain't gonna happen. And if it did happen, you would always have, the infiltrators. You know what I'm saying? That's always been a thing, even in our culture. And if you believe our culture to emanate from the original scriptures, that was a thing there. You know what I mean? I work in the helping field, right? So again, because of my path that made no sense, I can see things because now I'm in a similar sphere or industry, right? So a couple of brothers that come to me with, their various issues. So I'm seeing this from a systemic standpoint. So I instantly, because I do it my I instantly go into problem solving. Okay, these brothers about to have this issue in a couple of days. What can I do right now to prep to deal with it? So my county is dead in the water, right? As far as resources, right? Um, that's a whole different topic for a whole different day. So I reach out to professional contacts that I know professionally and personally, in an attempt to ship them to the next county to the south, right? That has more resources, whatever the case may be. Um, Now, mind you, it's a tangible, practical plan, right? So last Monday hit, it was exactly what I knew it was going to be. So I said, here I go. So I start trying to, institute my plan, right? And it would have worked if the people I had contacted and prepped for what was going to happen had emailed me back while they were at work. And it's been over a week and I still ain't heard nothing from nobody. So I'm not going to keep hounding them because it's obviously not that important. So we're going to have to learn how to save ourselves. Looking for help. Now, your help comes from the Most High. He'll put people, resources in your path, however he, see fit, right? But overly putting on or overly believing, no matter what you've done, how good you've been to people, that they're going to help you. Because as the word says, people are now lovers of money and lovers of themselves. You understand me? And that's just what it is. We're going to have to adapt. Do it. Like, I go through this sometimes where seeing the state of humanity, it caused me to grieve in my spirit. Like, I understand, the worlds and so on, but it seemed like, well, I can only detail from here in Babel, it seemed like everybody in the world is of the world, and it's saddening. You know what I'm saying? Like, are there any good people anymore? And I don't think there are any good people anymore unless they're seeking the Most High in truth and wisdom, not in the traditions of men. Because even in those institutions, Satan is imposing, crafty doctrines that's eliminating the power that they would have. How I say, shucks, having a form of righteousness, but denying the power thereof. So, okay, 2+1, what power you got? The power to not get bamboozled when everything everybody say is almost a bamboozlement. Or even if they tell you the truth, such as, let's say, the grouping of Hebrew Israelite camps, they're telling you the truth to chime you into them so they can control you. If we look at the scriptures, they blessed them or did some miracle and set them free. The world satanic system don't want you free. It don't want you free mentally, financially, spiritually. That's the main component, spiritually. Because if you're free spiritually, then you can effectively handle, financial bondage or, let's say, geographical bondage and be blessed and have favor in that space, a la Joseph. Because it was just a part of his path. The Most High knew he was going to get betrayed by his brother. He knew he was going to go to Potiphar's house. He knew he was going to live by a scriptural way and not and flee sexual temptation. And in doing so, he found himself in the worst position. But the worst position was actually setting him up for what he was anointed to do before he even came to the world. All you can do is do what's right and let the chips fall where they may, and trust and believe, saying it to y'all, saying it to myself, that the Most High has his hand on you and his favor, yo. All the years, let's say, I was homeless or, in total rebellion. I got some consequences, but I really didn't get what I deserved because I have a plethora of homeboys who are no longer on this earth for doing a fraction of the stuff I've been able to survive relatively unscathed. You know what I'm saying? Segue me, please. And I don't know how I be doing this, right? I don't know if this is necessarily what they call the gift of knowledge or the gift of, or one of the spiritual gifts, right? But this was highlighted, and this came to my remembrance, in which I'll just say stuff. I'll just be on here talking, or whoever I'm talking to, and just make a snap kind of statement, right? And I kind of do it in a joking way, because that's just my personality. Later on, it'll be revealed to me that what I said as a joke actually is already going on and I don't know nothing about it, or is about to happen. You know what I'm saying? So I talked about my homeboy on here who's socially grouped up with a particular demographic of people, and me saying, like, are you okay? Or, I mean, just stuff like that. So I've since blocked him, right? Because he don't respond, so ain't no sense of talking, right? And a couple of homies, two different homies, sent me his recent pictures, right? In which it looked like him, but he has the NPC, like, and I can tell this, or I can feel the energy through a picture. Now it looked like him, but that don't remember the dude I was shoulder to shoulder with in recovery or in rehab. That it don't look like the dude who was asking me for insight. Not that I'm better than him, but I was just in society before him. So I'm explaining to him what I'm perceiving. So when he get out there, here's what it looked the same way I do with y'all, right? He's made I guess insinuations about certain things and projection. And I said this, I call him projection yo. Everybody in Baltimore yo, right? So I made insinuations about certain, or he's made insinuations about certain things that actually apply to him. Because in some of these pictures, he look a little, but this was a former street cat. You understand me? In one picture, right? He actually looks like he's making like a pose like this, right? It looked totally wild, and it looks like he was an extra in the Michael Jackson video Thriller. And the homies just hit me up like, yo, what's up with Cuz? And I said it as a joke to him a year prior. I said, Cuz, you gone, bro. I don't know what you talking about. But I'm saying it as a joke, but yo, you gone. Did John Hopkins clone you, yo? Who was I'm talking to, yo? What happened to you? And for mine, he's still sober. His soul, his spirit gone. And it probably ain't no coming back. Especially when you social group, and part of the social grouping is a certain image or projection of success or validation of others, which I don't care none about. You know what I'm saying? I don't care about social validation due to the fact I've spent so much time having to deal with my own demons. I don't care what nobody thinks. You know what I'm saying? And that's the way the Most High set it up, with no understanding of what was going on at the time, which helped me trust him now when certain stuff don't make no sense. Because now I see the validity in what he was doing. I'm thinking about, let's say, child support or getting my own or this, that, and the third. Yeah, I get to you eventually, but I'm going to have to build a spiritual foundation on you, which means I'm going to have to deconstruct what you thought was right. And granted, a lot of my goals, even when I was doing wrong, I would try to do it in the right way, if that make any sense. But you were leaning to your own wisdom and understanding. You got a whole different path. Me and my partner Blue Hunter was talking about how I went, I probably tried more things vocationally than the average person think about within the last 2, 3 years. Solar, CDL, various entrepreneurial things, da da da. After I get off here, I had to work on getting with a distributor about printing up T-shirts. I just shoot jumpers. You know what I'm saying? From years of me being stagnant, I don't have a fear of failure. You know what I'm saying? But in order to get to that point where I don't feel failure, he had to erode ego, which ain't real. You know what I'm saying? Who you think you is in this world that is slowly passing away, crumbling and eroding as we speak. There's nothing that it's to everything society is to financial, like the financial markets. They're too far, we're in too much debt to ever pay it off. So you just continue to go in more debt just to sustain, kicking the can down the road before your whole situation implodes. Like, let's say I'm so much in debt, right? And then to manage or pay off debt, I take on more debt. Eventually, in my personal life, how long is it going to be for the whole deck of cards fall apart? How much more for a nation to operate like that? It's paradoxical where you got a nation of, say, what, got 300 million people here. That's, last time I saw, 36 trillion in debt, giving you a credit score, telling you how we're, you know what I'm saying? It's insane, bro. And these spiritual institutions are too far gone because they're too attached to the world or in bed with the world, and they care too much about money or the illusionary component or aspect of money. So they're not going to give you a real gospel. They want a people hoard. They're not going to give you enough information to set you free. If I just like the medical people or the pharmaceutical companies, if I give you a pill or sell you a pill that sets you free and you never need me, I'm gonna lose a customer. Back to the what was the catalyst for this video when I watched the Fox 45 out of Baltimore about the opioid epidemic. They said Baltimore City alone received $400 million from pharmaceutical companies and their liability in the opioid epidemic, right? So everybody's saying, they need to take that money and put in the treatment. I say no. Because if you take that money and put in the treatment, which has happened to me, and I don't know nobody or no treatment center that don't steal money or misappropriate funds. They're either you want the city leaders to steal it or you want the rehab people to steal it. But it ain't gonna never get to you. How about this? And I understand why this is not the case. How about we aggressively go after the drug cartels and street level dealers? Now they might lock up a few Negroes here and there, but just like what was that Iran Contra, they use drug money to like black budget fund other stuff. So America is such on a faulty foundation, financial foundation. If they stop selling drugs, the economy will crash. This economy, it's a plantation construct economy. The economy stalls if either one, they can't put you in a debt, or two, they always need like your labor and your energy in the system. Let's say they take black people out of America. Even though we only make up 13% of the population, the economy will crash. Well, how that gonna happen? One, who gonna make the music? Who you gonna put in jail? Who can you blame stuff on? You know how many lawyers and judges would be out of work? You know how many stock prices would plummet from private investors in the prison industrial complex? You know what I mean? And that's just a few I can rattle off the top of my head. You understand me? Uh, the black man ain't nothing kind of movement. If I can't blame you, if you're removed, then I have nobody. Everybody gonna look at me. Lord forbid that. So we always need a scapegoat. Just like the war on terror, there's always a new boogeyman, or there's always some new nation to fight. But more oftentimes than not, the people that they show to us on TV that they're fighting, they actually fund it before they put them on TV. Just like Bin Laden and Bush being in, business for years. Now all of a sudden he the enemy. But from what I understood at that time, the man had been unalive, and they would just tell him he was still alive and doing this, and you know what I'm saying, on TV. Then Obama pop on the jump like Trump did and say we got him. Don't show his body or none of that. Say we got him and it make him seem great. If you got him, show him where he at. And then now I'm not the Islamic historian here, but then the official story was we buried him at sea, per Islamic law tradition. If most Islamic countries are in the desert, how's that Islamic law to chuck the man overboard? And nobody can do an independent autopsy or whatever the case may be. They just tell, it's so bad now. They don't even try to come up with a good lie no more. They'll just tell you anything and believe you'll go for it. And you know what's crazy? We is. They'll tell you, let's say, inoculations, right, have only existed the past 100 years. Got us convinced we can't survive unless some pharmaceutical industry or company shoot us up, right? But how did human beings survive, according to y'all, the 6,000 years before that without having to get some foreign junk in their bloodstream? The society is meant to weaken you to the point where if we don't get you this way, we'll get you that way. You know what I'm saying? If we don't get you financially, we'll send the woman or we'll send the incubus male. You know what I mean? That's what, just adhere to the word, and it can get to be too much to comprehend and say a situation. This is why I'm fool with the dating game, because when you listen to these dating podcasts or saying how to deal with the modern woman, which you shouldn't deal with anyway, it's too much to remember. Okay, if she call, I gotta wait 3 days. It's like having a rule book. You know what I'm saying? If I meet her, I can't call her for 3 days. If she say this, I gotta do this. But if she do this, that means I gotta do that. Man, that's too much to remember. You would need a Harvard college course to have a curriculum on how to deal with the modern woman, and it still ain't no winning because you can't take fire to your bosom and not get burnt. So it's better not to fool with it. Which for me, I had to then go in my mind, or how the word be a renewing of your mind, and rewire my brain to understand that they've created a society where doing what you should do is actually unwise to do. It's unwise for me to plant a seed in the winter. You see what I'm saying? So, I would like to believe all men have a desire to be their woman's hero, simp to a degree, as we call it now. But in the other culture, they do it, but it's not viewed as simping because the culture does. But if you try to take care of one of these women or, try to put her up on game or whatever the case may be, without a certain amount of worldliness knowledge, not saying you got to implement it, but knowledge of the game, like I said in the lab, if you don't know the game, you become the game, and then you don't realize you in the game till the game come to you. You see what I'm saying? There's no way to do it successfully. Now the world will reward you for being carnal, and let's say you sleep a bunch of thoughts and all that there and da da da. But again, there's no way to deal with the world to not have it come around on the back end. Because now, like, you might get exposed on one of these TAP things, and I seen that they had some type of data breach with that. I don't know what that means. Um, Child support court. Satan has done a bang up job in sewing the game up. That's why the path is narrow. Because anything that deviate off the path is leading to him and his traps. You know what I'm saying? How the word talk about how we're able to escape the snare of the fowler and what everything is a trap. Everything, especially here in Babylon, everything is a trap. You get with one of these black organizations at the ground level thinking you're doing something for the community and understand the people in leadership are just gatekeeping. You know what I'm saying? You go to HBCU and pledge Greek, then you understand, oh, snap, everybody sweet. You know what I'm saying? There's nowhere for you to run, yo, other than to the shelter of the Most High. Saying it to y'all, saying it to myself. I mean, now, granted, the Most High can bless you as he sees fit, but less anything you go looking for, you attract it or on the journey you walk into it. And based on the journey, if you're walking into it, you got prepared to step into whatever the Most High allow, right? But going out saying, I don't know, I'm gonna go deal with these people, I'm gonna go join this and all that, you ready to get set up for bamboozlement, yo. That's how they sold the game up. You in the street and join one of these gangs, the gangs are feeding on each other. Let alone it's a social what's that not a parasite, what's that joint, a piranha. It resembles something to of that effect, where as long as the social conditions are all right, that's cool. But if the social dynamic changes for whatever reason because of a plethora of variables, we're already turned on each other. And they do scientific experiments about that, where they got mice in a cage and everybody good, long as whatever. But then if they restrict, food and water, the mice end up fighting each other. The prison plantation construct set up like that. It's set up for you to be victimized, one, or in order not to be victimized, you have to become an alpha predator. No matter which route you choose, you're probably psychologically destroyed. It's wicked out here, Jack. And it's getting ever more increasingly wickeder by the moment, Jack. That's why I'm fooling them. That's why I felt the spiritual need to leave Baltimore City and go for a more rural part of Maryland, where I have enough time, space, energy, silence to hear my own soul. You know what I mean? Because you can get so distracted with chatter and noise and this YouTuber opinion and that, including mine, you don't even know what's right for you. I found all this out, or I come to these various epiphanies in solitude and silence. The very thing I used to pray for the Most High to alleviate. But like he told Paul, when he asked him to remove the thorn from his side, he said, nah, I'm just giving you the grace to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? So the very thing I'm praying for the Most High to change is actually the very thing that's giving me the insight to be able to articulate a bunch of bamboozlement and see it plainly. Take complicated situations and explain it to y'all plainly. And that's another aspect of the confusion of Babylon. They convolute the information so much you can't tell what's what. You can't tell who's who. Again, going back to the Mission Impossible movie that I watched, that was one of the main plot lines in the movie, where the AI was distorting social media so much that couldn't nobody tell who was who or who was aligned with who or who to trust. And when you sow distrust, whether real or perceived, it has a profound aspect on society. Men don't trust women. Is it real or is it fabricated? It seems like both of them. Women don't trust men. Is that real or fact? It seems like both of them. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, we're just too far gone at this point. Too far gone. Sad state of affairs. So I would implore those under the sound of my voice to do what's in your best interest without getting over or manipulating nobody else. You see what I'm saying? And let the chips fall where they may. All this, I want to be, and I'm all for striving, don't get it twisted. But all this, I'm going to become, or how the words say, uh, we'll go to this city in a year and we'll make X amount of money if it's the Lord's will. You know what I'm saying? Me and my partner was talking about how I've tried all this numerous stuff, but I keep getting led back into the same industry that caused me all my pain to come on here and say certain things to y'all. Because one thing I'm well versed in is pain and suffering, and it's through the pain and suffering that has created the endurance and the endurance patience. You see what I'm saying? Just a little quick little jump. Man, peace and bless to all y'all. Appreciate everybody who liked, shared, subscribed, who's contributed, who shared videos. I'm your humble servant, the Toothless Wonder, signing off. One love, baby. Ooh, ooh.